Jesus of the deaf. Yes, we are. You watch and see. We're calling Jesus of the deaf. This go around, of course. We already have. But nobody expects the Negro to have that. It's just not in the cards for them. It's not that we're just doing it because they don't expect it. We're not doing it because it's not our nature. And remember, the biggest mistake of organizations is shaping and hurting when they allow the system to affect them and affect their behavior. And they look around in 5 or 10 years and they got all of it's just like the NAACP. I said something, I finally said something. I left my phone number with the NAACP. They called me back when I was in California. And they told me, well, we want to get your name. I said, well, I got this case. I just want here's what you do. You send your membership, $30 or something to NAACP. And I said, I just hung up. I said, forget it, man. I said, because at least you was thinking, that happened to you? Oh my God, we got to get busy. We don't have much resources, but we're going to get busy. They ain't said nothing like that. I said, man, forget y'all. They told me to send me the $30 membership, and I can come to the next meeting in 2 weeks. So I'll be dead in 2 weeks. I said, you know. Right, think about it. So, but you can imagine a little bit, they have been shaped and herded, probably so much, that their behavior, they might as well be white folks. They might as well. They're thinking too much about business, too much about survival, and they're not relating to the people's needs. You see what I mean? It's the people that when you leave that arena, you might as well quit doing what you're doing. So I just use the NAACP I said, man, y'all is cold-blooded. I'd hate to really be in need, you know what I mean, of them. When we go to California, we're going to interview the lawyers we want. We're going to interview them. Now, I just tell y'all, remember I told you when the FBI came by here, the attorney from the, the legal aid stuff, they kept calling me and they said, we'll get you a lawyer anywhere, and especially if you got a lot of good papers, and like somebody told me to call. I said, how much is it a month? They said, $44. So $44. So I said, yeah, just put me on the list. So I said, well, I'm going to be out in California in a couple of months, a month and a half, and then I'll talk to you about it. They called me back. The minute the FBI walked down the stairs, they called me back. Now, what exactly is your case? And then I said, well, I got more than one case, but I'm going to deal with a civil case, dealing with the bank first. And that's all you need to know. I mean, they clearly know exactly what somebody done told them. Well, it's no big deal. No, they play with me, I play with them. I say, well, look, I'll ask them very simply, what's the offer? What do you got? I said, my thing is, for the bank, I want $40 million. What is y'all? Just, that's what I want. I want $40 million for that, the way they treated me. If they say that, it's fine. I don't have to go get no. big lawyer. But I will interview lawyers. I just ask them that as soon as I get there, or even before. They're going to be just like California. I'm telling you, the whole department down there was in on this case. It was a trespassing case. Everybody was coming through the court and sitting down with notepads. I'm talking about the other attorneys in the public defender's office. Everyone, no, they was in it. Everyone, the judge was in on it. The bailiffs was in on it. The court reporters, because by the time I finish talking, they gonna definitely be in on it. But when I would call them and say I need a transcript or something, I could get it when they wanted to give it. I even had Negroes, our brother Najee. I had Najee, he's a lawyer in Philadelphia. Of course, I can't catch his number anymore for the last 4 months. That's okay. But I had him talk to the attorney there, and he gave me a little bit of stuff. But when I call them, they all know. So if I talk to one lawyer and that lawyer's thing, I bet you it's going to be, they got a team. They got a team. They got to have the stuff. It's unbelievable. But we planned it like this. We developed the behavior that would produce targetism. Everything that we got, we did that. We produced that. It's unbelievable. If we wanted something to happen, we do it. We produced literally everything that happened because we have studied the behavior pattern of the system. But now, where are we going? Allah has blessed us to deal with all of those things. There's something called moral imagination. That's when your imagination rules. Not memory. Memory would tell us, this niggas did this, that's memory. If we let memory rule our future, that means every time we thought of something, we would have some negative. We're not having any negative view of anything. We're moving forward. We know the game, but that don't make us negative. We just know this old saying, you got to know how to cheat to stop the cheat. In other words, you know how people do stuff so they can't do it to you. That's all. But the way we see our future is not help the people, but help the people. And to be in one of these shows and surprise the people is unbelievable. You just surprise them. That's why this is going to be easier than this part. Okay. Everybody thought this was so hard. Well, what was hard about it? Do you know we never lost one night's sleep on all of this? We go back and we go down and we just go to sleep. That's all. We just go to sleep. And coming out of the hospital, there was an interrupted period of when you sleep and when you wake up and stuff like that. Should I just pull out my pad and start, okay, I'm asleep, now I'm up, and I just start writing, you know, when I'm woke. I don't know, it's like no difference if you're at night, you may write for 2 or 3 hours and then go back to sleep again because they done interrupted your schedule. Now it's back to normal, but we never lost any sleep about none of this stuff that go on. So that's why it was easy. And this ayat, I'm going to go over this ayat again, then I'm going to try to wrap it up. Verily we have granted thee a manifest victory. A clear victory, manifest victory. What is it? Inna fatna laka fathan mubin. Everybody can see it. It's clear. It's like al-bayina. Everybody can see it. That's clear. Everybody saw everything. Can you imagine? Just think about Oakland. That everything is so clear, it's stupid. One of the videos showed me standing in the door and the Arabs, white shoe wearing Arabs, is invading the Masjid. They already come there before. They just come. And most people, that's sad, poor Imam is being invaded. I had just written, that was only 5, 6 years ago. I had wrote 10 years before that we're the only independent African-American masjid left. That's what we done already wrote. And now, here they come with a perfect byline. Arabs and Negro Zionists, Afro-Zionists, invade Masjid al-Islam. And look what happened in Oakland. Before, we had school, we had this, we had that, all of those things. What have they done in Oakland in the last 5 or 6 years? They don't even go to the masjid except on Jummah. They haven't had a mailbox. All the mailboxes go out somewhere to Berkeley or somewhere. Or go down to the school and they pick it up once a week. Everything in East Oakland is dead. The school has not been open for almost a decade. The masjid is open for 1 hour a week. That's it. They don't do nothing else there. Mubin, clear. This is the clearest evidence you can have. What's the purpose? Is it that this mean old Imam have been stifling and choking the community? Or was the goal to cut off all activity, Islamic activity in East Oakland and shift it to North Oakland? During the same period of time, all Islamic activity in East Oakland is dead. All Islamic activity in North Oakland has blossomed, bloomed, exploded, as we would call it. Then that had to be the purpose. You know what that is? It's mubin. It's clear, it's evident, you can't hide it. And then all of the other stuff associated with it. What is the reason for all the fitna? Nothing. Not one concrete statement. Not one concrete statement. Some of the people sent me a text the other day and said, now you negotiating with the FBI. You look at all the lives you've ruined. I just said it myself, because it said a text or something. I said, lives I ruined. And I was thinking about D.C. I said, how many lives have we ruined here in D.C.? Right? How many lives we ruined in LA and Seattle and how many lives, you know what I mean? You started all this trouble. That's what the people, that person is still trying to sell that story. Who's buying it? Nobody. Anybody buy that story, they're going on the list of insane people. And them phony so-called Black Panthers out there, you know, the ones that wear their pistol on their chest and sideways. See, we was during the payback days, we was going to really humiliate everybody. It's a sign to show that this is how, you know. But we're going to do as little of that as possible. Why? Because the world is in dire straits. The world needs life-saving, life-giving information. And when do they need it? They need it right now. So that's why we're talking about paradigm shift. A paradigm is like a map. The map shows us where things are and how they relate to one another. Okay. Likewise, we create paradigms of people, companies, ethnic groups, countries, governments, political parties, of everything, in fact, even ourselves. That means we create paradigms of people, companies, ethnic groups. We create paradigms ourselves because we want to make it easy to identify people. It's like